The Galactic Council chamber hummed with anticipation as Grand Admiral Akzan presented the final invasion assessment. Holographic projections of Earth, a blue-green marble suspended in darkness, rotated above the central platform. Around it, the 64 representatives of the Council's ruling species murmured their approval as probability matrices scrolled alongside the planet's image. The human defensive grid consists of precisely 12,483 orbital units, 89% of which are non-weaponized satellites. Their military response capability falls 94.3% below minimum threshold for resistance against even our scout contingent. Akzan's voice carried a hint of boredom. This would be the Galactic Council's 47th assimilation of an isolated planetary system. Routine. Councillor Zix of the Saurian Directorate leaned forward, their scaled hide catching the light. And their computational systems. Primitive, isolated networks, rudimentary quantum processing at best. Their most advanced military intelligence system could be bypassed by a juvenile Meraxian. Akzan's mandibles clicked with amusement. This species still relies on biological decision-making during crisis scenarios. "And you're certain they have no knowledge of our approach?" asked Councillor Thrix. Always the cautious one. Admiral Waksan, Akzan's second-in-command, raised a tendril. "Our fleet has maintained full stealth protocols during deceleration. Earth's detection systems are incapable of identifying our drive signatures. They remain ignorant of our existence, much less our imminent arrival. The Supreme Councillor, a massive gelatinous entity whose translucent body contained swirling particles of light, pulsed with authority. The timeline: 12 standard hours from communication to full planetary subjugation," Akzan replied. "This species lacks unified government, which will further fragment their response capabilities. I recommend the standard ultimatum: surrender or face immediate hostilities." The Supreme Councillor's lights pulsed in approval. "Proceed as recommended. The Council expects minimal casualties and maximum resource preservation. Earth's water reserves alone justify careful handling of the invasion." Akzan bowed, forearms crossing in formal salute. "The glory of the Council will be served." As the chamber emptied, none of the delegates noticed the small anomaly in the corner of the tactical display, a single blinking dot that shouldn't have been there. A human surveillance platform, operating on frequencies the Council's sensors dismissed as background radiation. On Earth, in a windowless room, 300 meters beneath Sydney Harbor, Commander Jace Warbungul watched the Council meeting with stony silence. The intelligence feed, intercepted from the Council's own broadcast network, continued streaming across monitors that lined the curved wall of Earth's most secretive command center. Jace was tall for a human, with sharp features weathered by decades of military service. At 58, his close-cropped hair had gone completely gray, but his eyes retained the intensity that had marked him for leadership since his earliest days in intelligence operations. He wore no uniform, just plain black clothing and the wide-brimmed hat he never removed in public. "They're exactly as arrogant as we predicted," he said quietly to the room of 24 specialists, each monitoring different aspects of Earth's invisible defense network. Dr. Eliza Rand, head of xenolinguistics, removed her neural interface visor. "They've just made the decision to send the ultimatum. Transmission incoming within minutes." Jace nodded. "Alert the Security Council and activate final protocols. GhostNet goes live the moment they enter near-Earth orbit." "Sir?" Lieutenant Hammond spoke up from his station. "The EU President is demanding we reconsider conventional countermeasures. He's insisting on deploying the orbital platforms. Tell him again that any active defense signature will trigger immediate attack. Our only advantage is that they think we're blind." Jace's voice remained calm, but his fingers tapped a rapid rhythm against his thigh, the only outward sign of tension. "Chinese Secretary General and Indian Prime Minister are both backing your strategy." Hammond added, "Australian PM is on the fence but leaning toward support." "And the Americans?" Their representative wants assurances we can protect their continental assets. Jace almost smiled. Tell them GhostNet doesn't recognize national boundaries. The entire planet gets protected, or none of it does. Message transmitted, sir. Jace turned back to the main display where the alien fleet's approach vector glowed in ominous red. 86 vessels of varying sizes, decelerating toward Earth at a rate that would place them in orbit within 10 hours. Humanity had been monitoring the Council's activities for nearly a decade, ever since the first automated probe detected their communications network at the edge of the solar system. While the world's governments publicly denied knowledge of extraterrestrial intelligence, Jace had been building Earth's true defense. Not the visible satellites and weapons platforms that nations proudly announced. Those were merely theater. The real protection lay in the GhostNet protocol, a multi-layered information warfare system designed to infiltrate, compromise, and neutralize the Galactic Council's technology without firing a single kinetic weapon. Incoming transmission, global broadcast on all frequencies, announced Senior Technician Fareed. Let it through, Jace ordered. Every communication device on the planet needs to receive this, exactly as we discussed. The screens flickered, and a being appeared, humanoid in basic shape, but with 4 arms and an exoskeleton that gleamed with metallic highlights. Grand Admiral Arxon spoke in a voice that translation software rendered in eerily perfect English. People of Earth, I am Grand Admiral Arxon of the Galactic Council Expansion Fleet. Our vessels will achieve orbit around your world in precisely 11 hours and 26 minutes. We have monitored your civilization and determined it is ready for integration into the Galactic Council. Your technological, political, and social development has reached the threshold where assimilation is both possible and necessary. Arxon's compound eyes seemed to stare directly into the camera. You have 12 standard hours to dismantle your military installations, disarm your nuclear arsenals, and prepare your governing bodies for transition. Resistance will result in targeted elimination of military assets and command structures. Compliance will be rewarded with technological advancement and resource allocation that will benefit your species. This is the only communication you will receive before our arrival. Choose wisely. The transmission cut off abruptly, within seconds. Jace's secure line lit up with incoming calls from every major government. Patch them all into a joint conference, he instructed Hammond. Audio only. The cacophony of voices that filled the room reflected the panic spreading through the world's leadership. The EU president's voice rose above the others. Commander Warbungal, in light of this direct threat, I am authorizing immediate deployment of the European Defense Initiative's orbital platforms. With respect, Mr. President, that would be suicide. Jace replied calmly. Those platforms are precisely what the Council expects us to activate. The moment we do, their fleet will target and destroy them, along with our command and control infrastructure. You expect us to simply wait while alien ships enter our orbit? Demanded the U.S. representative, her voice tight with controlled fear. I expect you to trust the strategy we've spent 9 years developing. Jace answered. GhostNet is already in place. It has been infiltrating Council systems since we first detected their communication protocols. The moment their fleet enters our orbit, the trap closes. This phantom defense system of yours remains theoretical, the Chinese Secretary General observed. Many of us have yet to see concrete evidence it can neutralize a technologically superior force. Jace sighed. They'd had this argument countless times in secure bunkers around the world. Secretary General, with respect, you have seen only what I've chosen to show you. GhostNet's capabilities were compartmentalized specifically to prevent the Council from detecting its full architecture. If I revealed everything, it would compromise the very advantage we're counting on. And if it fails, asked the Indian Prime Minister, then conventional defenses wouldn't have saved us anyway. Jace replied. Their weapons technology outmatches our kinetic defenses by several orders of magnitude. Our only chance is to fight on the battlefield they don't expect. Information systems. A tense silence followed. Finally, the Australian Prime Minister spoke. "I've seen enough of Commander Warbungle's operation to give him my provisional support. We need unity in this moment, not fragmented responses." One by one, the others reluctantly agreed to withhold conventional military responses, at least for the next 6 hours. As the call ended, Jace turned to his team. "They'll hold for now, but expect renewed pressure as the deadline approaches. Dr. Rand, what's your assessment of their psychology based on the ultimatum?" Dr. Rand consulted her notes. "Classic colonizing mentality. They view us as primitives requiring guidance. The 12-hour deadline is deliberately short to prevent coordinated resistance. Their reference to integration rather than conquest suggests they prefer to maintain infrastructure and population. We're a resource to be managed, not an enemy to be destroyed." Which plays perfectly into GhostNet's approach. Jace nodded. "Lieutenant Hammond, activate the dormant protocols in sectors 1 through 4. I want everything ready when their advanced scouts enter the atmosphere." "Yes, sir. Dormant protocols activating now. Around the world, in secret facilities built under the guise of telecommunications research, quantum entanglement modules hummed to life. Unlike conventional cyber warfare tools, GhostNet operated on principles that the Council's technology would interpret as random system noise, until it was too late. In the 8 hours that followed, global panic mounted. Despite government assurances, civilians flooded out of major cities, religious communities held vigils. Doomsday preppers emerged from their bunkers to declare vindication. Military forces around the world moved to high alert, despite orders to maintain normal posture. At T-3 hours, the secure line to Jace's command center lit up again. "Multiple governments are preparing independent defensive actions," Hammond reported. "The Russians have activated their aerospace defense system. The Americans are mobilizing strategic forces. India and Pakistan have both raised nuclear readiness levels." Jace's expression darkened. "Get me a direct line to each of their military commanders. Not the political leadership, the actual commanders." Within minutes, he was speaking directly to the highest-ranking military officers of each nation. "This is Commander Warbungle. I understand your preparations, but I need to be absolutely clear. Any activation of conventional defense systems will trigger immediate hostile response. The Council's ships are equipped with automated countermeasure protocols that will fire on active targeting systems before human commanders can even register the threat. We cannot simply stand down while our sovereignty is threatened," declared the Russian aerospace commander. "You won't have any sovereignty left if you alert them to our true capabilities," Jace countered. "I have shared enough intelligence with each of your governments to establish my credibility. Now I am asking for 3 more hours of restraint. If my strategy fails, you'll still have time to launch your weapons, for whatever good they'll do." Reluctantly, the military leaders agreed to hold their forces in check, though several made it clear they were preparing for immediate action should GhostNet fail. At T-1 hour, the alien fleet became visible to conventional Earth telescopes. 86 ships, arranged in perfect formation, their massive hulls reflecting sunlight as they established synchronous positions around the planet. Smaller craft detached from the larger vessels, scout ships preparing to enter the atmosphere. In Jace's command center, the atmosphere was one of focused intensity. Screens displayed the position of every Council vessel, tracking their movements with precision. "Scout ships deploying," reported Technician Farid. "Atmospheric entry in approximately 12 minutes. "GhostNet status?" Jace asked. "Fully operational," answered Dr. Mira Chen, head of the quantum infiltration team. "Dormant protocols are in place. Infiltration packages are ready for deployment. We have successfully established quantum entanglement with 83 of their 86 vessels. The remaining 3? Smaller scout ships operating on isolated systems. They'll be handled by secondary protocols once the main fleet is compromised." Jace nodded, satisfaction evident in his otherwise stoic expression. Begin final countdown. GhostNet activates the moment their command ship establishes orbit. On the main view screen, the largest of the Council vessels, nearly 3 kilometers in length, moved into position above the northern hemisphere. Its angular form bristled with sensor arrays and what Earth intelligence had identified as weapons emplacements. "Admiral Arksan is hailing Earth governments again," Hammond reported. "Standard frequencies. Global broadcast." "Let it through," Jace ordered. The alien commander's image appeared on screen. Mandibles spread in what xenolinguists had identified as an expression of confidence. "People of Earth, your deadline expires in 52 minutes. We have detected military mobilizations across your planet. This is ill-advised. Power down your defensive systems immediately, or face preliminary strikes against military installations. This is your final warning." As the transmission ended, Jace leaned forward. "Are they in position?" "Command ship has established stable orbit," confirmed Farid. "All primary vessels are now within GhostNet's operational range." Jace took a deep breath. 9 years of preparation. Countless resources diverted from public view. The greatest gamble in human history. Execute GhostNet. All protocols, all sectors, simultaneous deployment. Dr. Chen's fingers danced across her interface. GhostNet deploying now. For several seconds, nothing seemed to happen. The alien ships maintained their positions. Earth continued turning. In the command center, only the subtle shift of data patterns on the monitoring stations indicated that humanity had just launched its defense. Then, a small alert appeared on the tactical display. One of the scout ships had altered course unexpectedly, its trajectory becoming erratic. "First contact established," Chen reported, her voice tightly controlled. "Scout vessel ASV-12 is experiencing navigation system failure." More alerts began appearing across the displays. 2 more scout ships veered off course. A medium-sized vessel in the main fleet began rotating slowly, its stabilization systems apparently malfunctioning. "GhostNet is infiltrating their command protocols," Chen continued. "Primary infection spreading across networked systems." Hammond looked up from his station. "Sir, we're intercepting internal communications from the fleet. They're experiencing massive system failures across all vessels." Jace allowed himself a small nod. "Show me their command ship." The main screen shifted to focus on the massive vessel that housed Admiral Arksan. Externally, it appeared unchanged, but the data streaming alongside the image told a different story. Power fluctuations, communication disruptions, weapon systems cycling through random diagnostic procedures. "They've detected the intrusion," Chen reported. "Their cybersecurity protocols are attempting to isolate affected systems." "Too late," Jace said quietly. "Phase 2. On Chen's command, the second wave of GhostNet protocols activated. Unlike the first phase, which merely created system disruptions, Phase 2 targeted the Council fleet's integrated artificial intelligence, the centralized decision-making system that coordinated the entire invasion force. Aboard the Council command ship, Grand Admiral Arksan stared in disbelief at the cascading failure reports. Around him, the command center had descended into controlled chaos as his officers attempted to regain control of critical systems. "Status report," he demanded. Admiral Waksan's tendrils worked furiously across multiple interfaces. "Unknown infiltration affecting all networked systems. Our security protocols are failing to isolate the infection. It appears to be evolving to counter our defenses." "Impossible," Arksan hissed. "Their technological level is centuries behind ours. They cannot possess this capability." "Nevertheless," Waksan replied grimly, "our systems are being compromised at an accelerating rate. Weapons are offline. Navigation is compromised. Communications between vessels are degrading. The tactical oversight AI? Attempting to purge and restart, but the infection has reached its core processors. It's making increasingly irrational tactical assessments." Oxan's compound eyes narrowed. Deploy isolation protocols. Sever all connections between ships if necessary. We can re-establish the network once the infection is contained. Isolation protocols are not responding to commands, Waxan reported, alarm evident in their voice. The system is... The main lights in the command center suddenly dimmed, replaced by emergency illumination. Around them, the hum of the ship's primary systems faded to silence. Power core shutdown, someone reported from across the chamber. Switching to auxiliary systems. Oxan turned to the communications station. Send emergency protocols to all vessels. Manual override of all systems. Disconnect from the central network immediately. The communications officer worked frantically at their station. Transmitters are not responding. Admiral, I cannot establish contact with the fleet. Outside the command ship, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. Scout ships tumbled through the atmosphere, their control systems locked in endless reboot cycles. Larger vessels drifted out of formation, thrusters firing at random intervals. Within 20 minutes of GhostNet's activation, the entire invasion fleet had been effectively neutralized. Back in Sydney, Jace watched the situation unfold with quiet satisfaction. The tactical display showed the status of each council vessel, red indicators signifying complete system failure. Yellow for partial compromise, not a single ship remained operational. Sir, Hammond called from his station. We're receiving transmissions from the command ship. They're attempting to broadcast on all frequencies, but their systems are so compromised the messages are fragmented. Let me hear it, Jace ordered. The speakers crackled with static. Then Oxan's voice came through in broken segments. Unknown attack. Systems failing. Request immediate. Cannot maintain. Orbital integrity compromised. They're trying to call for help, Dr. Rand observed. But the same protocols preventing them from communicating with Earth are blocking their long-range transmissions. Jace nodded. Exactly as intended. Phase 3. Dr. Chen. Phase 3 activated, Chen confirmed. The final stage of GhostNet didn't attack the Council's systems directly. Instead, it inserted a subtle but critical flaw into their diagnostic tools, ensuring that any attempt to identify and repair the damage would actually worsen it. It was the digital equivalent of a surgeon operating with compromised vision, each incision causing more harm than good. Sir, Hammond interrupted. The Security Council is demanding an update. They're watching the alien ship's malfunction and want to know if we're responsible. Tell them the situation is developing as anticipated, Jace replied, and remind them that radio silence remains critical. No broadcasts to the alien vessels under any circumstances. Yes, sir. Hours passed as the Council fleet drifted in increasingly erratic patterns. Scout ships that had entered the atmosphere made emergency landings in remote areas, the Australian outback, the Sahara Desert, the Siberian tundra, where Special Forces teams were waiting to secure them under strict quarantine protocols. Finally, as the 12-hour ultimatum expired, Jace made his decision. Initiate contact with the command ship, audio only. Direct channel. Hammond established the connection. Channel open, sir. Jace leaned toward the microphone. Attention Council Command Vessel. This is Commander Jace Warbungle of Earth Defense. Your fleet has been neutralized. Your systems will continue to degrade unless you comply with our terms. After a moment of static, Oxan's voice replied, strained and furious. What have you done to our ships? This level of technological warfare is impossible for your species. Evidently not, Jace replied coolly. Your vessels are currently trapped in a cascading failure loop that will eventually compromise life support systems. We are prepared to provide the countermeasure codes under the following conditions. All Council ships will withdraw from Earth orbit immediately upon regaining minimal navigational capability. The Galactic Council will designate Earth and the Sol system as a prohibited zone, with no further attempts at contact or conquest. Silence stretched for nearly a minute before Arksan responded. You expect the Council to simply retreat? To pretend your world doesn't exist after this treachery? I expect you to make a rational decision based on new information. Jace answered. You assessed our civilization as primitive and defenseless. That assessment was incorrect. Now you must reevaluate. The alternative is the loss of your entire fleet and the knowledge that Earth can defeat your most advanced systems without firing a single conventional weapon. Another long pause. I will relay your terms to the Council. Arksan finally replied, his voice subdued. But I require proof that you can actually reverse the damage to our systems. Transmitting partial restoration code to Scout Vessel ASV-12. Jace nodded to Chen, who implemented the command. This will restore basic life support and communication functions only. Consider it a gesture of good faith. On the tactical display, one of the scout ships that had crashed in Australia showed a sudden surge of power as minimal systems came back online. We will await the Council's decision, Jace concluded. You have 1 hour to respond before the cascade reaches critical life support systems on your command vessel. As the communication ended, the command center fell silent. Then Dr. Rand spoke. They'll agree to your terms. Their psychology won't allow them to comprehend defeat, but they'll rationalize withdrawal as strategic reassessment. I know, Jace replied. GhostNet has already extracted their emergency protocols. Their contingency for encountering superior technology is immediate withdrawal and classification of the species as developmentally anomalous, to be quarantined rather than engaged. Hammond looked up from his station. Sir, what happens when they realize GhostNet can't actually compromise their life support? That was a bluff. Jace's expression remained impassive. By the time they discover that, they'll be well outside our solar system. And they'll be even more terrified of what else we might be capable of. 47 minutes later, the response came from the Council command ship. Admiral Arksan himself, his demeanor noticeably subdued, appeared on the main screen. We accept your terms. The Council has classified Earth as a prohibited contact zone. Transmit the restoration codes, and we will depart your system immediately. Codes transmitting now. Jace nodded to Chen, who initiated the final phase of GhostNet, a carefully designed restoration program that would gradually return control to the Council ships while preserving hidden back doors in their systems. Safe journey, Admiral. Arksan's compound eyes narrowed in what xenolinguists would later interpret as a mixture of humiliation and grudging respect. This is not the end, Commander. The galaxy is vast, but the Council's memory is long. So is ours, Admiral, Jace replied evenly. Remember that when you make your report. The communication ended. Over the next several hours, the Council fleet gradually regained basic functionality. One by one, the massive ships activated their drive systems and began accelerating away from Earth, their formation ragged and uncoordinated, a far cry from the precise arrangement of their arrival. Within 24 hours, not a single Council vessel remained in Earth orbit. Only the emergency-landed scout ships remained, secured by military forces around the world for study and reverse engineering. The governments of Earth debated how to inform the public. In the end, they settled on a simple announcement. An unidentified threat had approached Earth but had been successfully neutralized. No further details were provided, though conspiracy theories flourished in the information vacuum. 2 weeks after the failed invasion, Jace Warbungal sat in a small cafe in downtown Sydney, watching pedestrians go about their daily lives, blissfully unaware of how close they had come to subjugation. He wore civilian clothes, though he still kept his wide-brimmed hat pulled low over his eyes. Dr. Rand slid into the seat across from him, placing 2 cups of coffee on the table. The Security Council has approved the Jupiter outpost. They're taking the threat of future contacts seriously. Jace nodded. Good. We'll need early warning systems beyond Neptune if we want adequate preparation time for the next encounter. You really think they'll come back, even after classifying us as prohibited? Eventually. Bureaucracies have short memories when resources are at stake. He took a sip of coffee. But we'll be ready. The GhostNet architecture is being expanded. Next time, we'll detect them before they even enter the solar system. Rand studied him carefully. You know, for someone who just saved humanity, you don't seem particularly pleased. Jace's expression remained neutral. I didn't save humanity. Doctor, I just bought us time. Time for what? He looked up, meeting her gaze directly. Time to become what they feared we already were. As they sat in companionable silence, neither noticed the small news item playing on the cafe's television. Reports of unusual technological breakthroughs in multiple countries. Advances in quantum computing and artificial intelligence that experts couldn't quite explain. The first fruits of the Council's compromised technology already being integrated into Earth's infrastructure. In the vast darkness beyond Pluto, automated beacons left by the retreating Council fleet transmitted a simple message to any approaching vessels. Earth, restricted zone, no contact authorized, technological anomaly, approach at extreme risk. The message would spread through the galactic community over the following months and years. Earth had earned itself a reputation in a single day, a primitive world that had somehow defeated the Council's most advanced fleet without firing a shot. A mystery, a warning. And in hidden facilities around the planet, humanity prepared for the day when that warning would no longer be enough. The alert came at 0327 Greenwich Mean Time, 3 years after the Council's withdrawal. A quantum entanglement detector, technology reverse-engineered from the captured scout ships, registered a disturbance at the edge of the solar system. Something large was decelerating from faster-than-light travel. In the expanded command center beneath Sydney Harbor, now triple its original size, the duty officer immediately activated the emergency protocols. Within minutes, Jace Warbungle, now bearing the title of Earth Defense Coordinator, strode into the room, his expression grim. "Status report," he demanded, eyes immediately finding the main tactical display. "Single vessel, approximately twice the size of the Council command ship," reported Senior Analyst Quan. "Configuration doesn't match Council design parameters. It's something new." Jace studied the incoming data. "GhostNet detection? No matching signatures in the database. This ship isn't using any technology we've previously documented." "Are they broadcasting?" "No, sir. Complete communication silence. They're just sitting there, just beyond Neptune's orbit." Jace considered this development. After the Council's defeat, Earth had experienced 3 years of unparalleled technological advancement, integrating and improving upon the alien technology harvested from the crashed scout ships. The global power structure had shifted, with the nations that had supported Jace's strategy gaining significant advantages in the new technological landscape. "Alert the Security Council," he ordered, "and activate GhostNet 2.0. Let's see if we can establish a connection with their systems." As the enhanced infiltration protocols deployed, Jace watched the tactical display with growing concern. Unlike the Council ships, which had been vulnerable to GhostNet's intrusion, this new vessel showed no signs of compromise. Its systems remained impenetrable. "Sir," Quan called out, "we're detecting energy buildup within the vessel. They may be preparing to—" The tactical display flashed as the alien ship suddenly accelerated, not toward Earth as expected, but away from the solar system at tremendous speed. "They're leaving?" Dr. Rand asked, having arrived moments earlier. "No," Jace replied quietly. "They got what they came for." "Which was?" "Information." His expression darkened. "They wanted to confirm the Council's reports without risking direct contact. Now they know we can detect them at the system's edge. They know our response time, and they know their systems are resistant to our infiltration attempts." "You think they're planning an attack?" Jace shook his head slowly. Not immediately. This was reconnaissance. They're gathering intelligence before deciding how to proceed. In the months that followed, similar encounters occurred with increasing frequency. Different ships, different configurations, all maintaining distance from Earth while seemingly testing its detection and response capabilities. Each time, Jace's team adjusted their protocols, learning from each interaction. The fifth such encounter, 8 months after the first, brought a significant change. The alien vessel, smaller than previous visitors but with more complex energy signatures, actually responded to Earth's communication attempts. "We are receiving a transmission," announced communication specialist Torres. "Audio and visual." "Put it through," Jace ordered, straightening his ever-present hat. The view screen activated, showing a being unlike any encountered with the Council. It appeared almost crystalline, with a translucent body that refracted light in hypnotic patterns. When it spoke, the words came not as sound, but as directly transmitted thoughts that the communication system rendered into English. "Greetings, defenders of Earth. I am Observer Xylith of the Concordat of Sentient Spheres. We have been monitoring your interactions with the Galactic Council with great interest." Jace stepped forward. "I am Earth Defense Coordinator Jace Warbengal. Your observation has not gone unnoticed. What is the purpose of the Concordat's surveillance?" The crystalline being's form shifted slightly, light patterns changing in what might have been an expression. "The Concordat exists in opposition to the Council's expansionist policies. We seek alliance with civilizations that have successfully resisted assimilation." "You're recruiting," Jace observed. "We are offering partnership," Xylith corrected. "The Council's retreat from your system has created significant disruption in regional power dynamics. They will not accept defeat indefinitely. When they return, and they will return, they will bring forces that dwarf their previous fleet." Jace considered this information carefully. "And what does the Concordat offer in exchange for this partnership?" "Technology, knowledge, protection, integration into a network of worlds that value autonomy over assimilation." "And what would you expect from Earth in return?" The crystal being's patterns shifted again. "Your methods of defeating the Council without kinetic warfare are unknown to us. Such capability would be valuable to the Concordat's defensive strategies." "Of course. GhostNet. They wanted Earth's information warfare capabilities, the very advantage that had allowed humanity to triumph against overwhelming odds." "I will convey your proposal to Earth's leadership," Jace replied neutrally. "But understand that we approach all extraterrestrial contact with appropriate caution, given our recent experiences." "Understandable," Xylith acknowledged. "We will maintain position at the system boundary, awaiting your response. To demonstrate our good faith, we are transmitting technical specifications for a defensive system that may prove useful against Council technology." As the transmission ended, Dr. Rand turned to Jace with a raised eyebrow. "From one alien ultimatum to another, do you think they're genuine?" "Possibly," Jace said thoughtfully. "But their timing is suspicious. The Council's defeat revealed Earth as a valuable chess piece in whatever game these civilizations are playing. We need to proceed carefully." The data package from the Concordat proved to contain legitimate technical information, designs for a planetary shield system that, while advanced, was clearly incomplete. Enough to demonstrate value, not enough to provide true benefit without further engagement. The Security Council deliberated for days before authorizing a cautious response. Earth would neither accept nor reject the Concordat's offer immediately, instead proposing a neutral meeting ground for further discussion, a space station to be constructed in the asteroid belt, away from Earth but still within the solar system. As preparations for this diplomatic mission began, Jace found himself increasingly troubled. In the command center's private strategic room, he shared his concerns with his most trusted advisors. "The Concordat's appearance is too convenient," he explained, indicating the intelligence reports spread across the table. They've been watching us since before the Council's invasion, yet they made no attempt to warn or assist Earth. Perhaps they were assessing our capabilities, suggested Admiral Chen, the newly appointed commander of Earth's growing defense fleet. Testing whether we were worthy of contact, or waiting to see which side would emerge victorious before approaching the winner, Jace countered. Either way, I don't trust their motives. What's the alternative? Asked Dr. Rand. Isolation. We know the Council will eventually return with greater force. Can Earth stand alone against the galaxy? Jace's expression hardened. We don't need to stand alone, but we should choose our allies carefully, not accept the first hand extended after victory. Over the following weeks, as diplomatic preparations continued, Jace implemented a parallel strategy, using the quantum communication technology harvested from Council vessels. Earth sent out its own probes, tiny, nearly undetectable devices designed to intercept and analyze alien communications throughout the nearby sector of the galaxy. The intelligence these probes returned painted a complex picture. The galaxy was not dominated solely by the Council, as they had implied. Instead, multiple power blocks existed in uneasy balance, with the Council and Concordat representing just two of several competing interests. Earth had unknowingly stumbled onto a cosmic chessboard, its defeat of the Council fleet elevating it from pawn to potential player. Armed with this knowledge, Jace revised Earth's diplomatic approach. When the meeting with Concordat representatives finally took place aboard the hastily constructed Neutral Station 1, humanity was prepared. Jace led the Earth delegation personally, still wearing his trademark hat even in the sterile environment of the space station. Across the conference table sat 3 Concordat representatives, Xylith and 2 others of different species, one appearing almost mechanical, while the other resembled a swarm of tiny organisms moving in perfect coordination. We have considered your proposal carefully. Jace began without preamble. Earth is prepared to establish diplomatic relations with the Concordat, but not exclusive alliance. Xylith's crystalline form flickered with what might have been surprise. The Council represents an existential threat to your world. Protection requires commitment. Perhaps, Jace acknowledged, but our intelligence suggests the Concordat is not the only power capable of offering such protection. We have identified at least 3 other major factions within regional space, each with different approaches to interstellar relations. The mechanical representative emitted a series of clicks before speaking through the translation system. Your intelligence capabilities are unexpected. We were led to believe your species was confined to this solar system. You were led to believe many things about humanity, Jace replied evenly. Just as the Council was, those misconceptions proved costly for them. The swarm being shifted, individual components realigning into a new pattern. What terms does Earth propose, if not alliance? Open diplomatic exchange? Mutual defense agreements with clearly defined parameters? Technological trade based on equitable value assessment, and, Jace leaned forward slightly, absolute recognition of Earth's sovereignty and the inviolability of the Sol system. Such terms are typically extended only to founding members of the Concordat. Xylith objected. Then consider this an application for founding status in whatever new arrangement emerges from our negotiations. Jace countered. Earth defeated the Council not through overwhelming force, but through superior strategy. We offer the same strategic advantage to our allies, if those allies respect our independence. The Concordat representatives conferred among themselves in frequencies beyond human hearing. Finally, Xylith turned back to Jace. Your proposal has merit, though it exceeds traditional protocols. We will convey Earth's position to the Concordat Assembly for consideration. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Rand fell into step beside Jace as they returned to the Earth shuttle. That went better than expected, she observed, though I doubt they'll accept our terms without modification. They won't, Jace agreed. But neither will they dismiss us outright. We've demonstrated enough knowledge of galactic politics to make them cautious. That buys us time. Time for what? Jace's lips curved in a rare smile. Time to contact the other factions ourselves. The Concordat clearly hope to secure exclusive influence over Earth. By the time they return with their counter-proposal, we'll have opened negotiations with their competitors, playing them against each other. Rand nodded appreciatively. Risky. Less risky than depending on a single patron whose true motives remain unclear, Jace replied. Humanity survived this long by adapting. Now we adapt to a much larger playing field. In the year that followed, Earth's diplomatic and intelligence operations expanded dramatically. The technology harvested from Council vessels, combined with innovations spurred by the Concordat's technical package, accelerated human development far beyond what either alien faction had anticipated. Multiple delegations traveled to nearby star systems, establishing contact with various galactic powers. Each returned with different perspectives and opportunities, gradually building Earth's position not as a client world to be protected, but as an emerging power in its own right. When the Council finally sent a new delegation, a diplomatic mission rather than an invasion fleet, they found not the primitive world they had attempted to conquer, but a solar system transformed. Defensive platforms utilizing hybrid human-alien technology orbited strategic points. A small but formidable fleet of Earth vessels patrolled the system's boundaries. And, most importantly, formal agreements with 3 major galactic factions, including the Concordat, guaranteed Earth's security through a complex web of mutual interests. The Council representatives were received aboard Neutral Station 1, now expanded into a proper diplomatic hub. Jace, still serving as Earth's primary representative despite numerous attempts to retire, led the meeting. The Council recognizes Earth's changed status. The lead delegate acknowledged, mandibles moving stiffly in what had been identified as an expression of reluctance. We propose normalization of relations and a non-aggression pact. Acceptable in principle, Jace replied, with certain conditions regarding technological exchange and border recognition. As negotiations proceeded, it became clear that the Council's attitude had shifted from conquest to grudging respect. The species that had humiliated their invasion force was now a political reality they could not ignore, particularly as Earth's alliances included several of the Council's traditional rivals. Later, in private consultation with Earth's diplomatic corps, Jace reflected on the irony of their situation. 3 years ago, they came to subjugate us. Now they seek normalization because they fear being left at a disadvantage if they don't. He shook his head slightly. All because we chose information warfare over kinetic response. Your strategy saved humanity. Admiral Chen observed, without GhostNet, we would be a subjugated world within the Council's empire. Perhaps, Jace acknowledged, or perhaps we would have found another way. Humanity's greatest strength has always been adaptation. As the diplomatic team dispersed to continue their work, Jace remained alone in the observation dome, looking out at the stars that no longer represented distant mysteries but known quantities, some friendly, some hostile, all now part of humanity's expanded universe. His hat, the same wide-brimmed style he had worn for decades, sat on the table beside him, a small, personal constant in a world of radical change. Earth had transformed from an isolated planet to a notable power in galactic affairs in just 4 years, all stemming from a decision to fight an unconventional war with unconventional means. The Council had predicted human defeat within hours. Instead, humanity had ended the war in minutes and changed the course of its development forever. As new alien ships arrived in the solar system, diplomatic vessels, trading craft, cultural exchange missions, Earth continued its careful balance of openness and vigilance. And deep beneath Sydney Harbor, the latest version of GhostNet remained active, constantly learning, constantly adapting, ready to protect humanity against whatever threats the galaxy might still hold. Jace allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. Not victory, he was too pragmatic to ever declare final victory, but acknowledgement that his life's work had accomplished its purpose. Earth was safe. For now. Its future, uncertain but full of possibility, stretched out among the stars. And somewhere in the vast bureaucracy of the Galactic Council, a simple designation remained attached to humanity's file. Approach with extreme caution. Technological capabilities exceed apparent development level. Information warfare specialists. It was, Jace thought, a fitting epitaph for the war that had ended before it truly began, and the beginning of humanity's true place in the cosmos.